What's up, everybody? Welcome to Proclaim Creative TV. My name is Juan Ramos, and I am so excited for the journey that we're about to take together. This is the very first official episode of Proclaim Creative TV because I have a video uploaded on this channel, but it wasn't more of a conversation tutorial-based type of video. So it's very different. This is the first time I'm doing anything like this where I'm talking directly to a camera, and I'm doing kind of tutorial based things, but I'm really excited about these videos, and my top hope is that they bring value to you as a church creative, as a creative in general, maybe even sometimes as a entrepreneur. We're going to cover a whole range of subjects all having to do with the creative field. I'm actually shooting from a converted garage, which is where I do the bulk of my business. This is where I have my office. I do my screen printing here. It's actually right over there, so hopefully soon I can do a video where I kind of walk you through my screen printing process. So a lot of the work that I do happens here in this tiny garage. It's a very small space. So the top thing that I want to talk about today is kind of just give you an introduction of kind of my backstory, why I do what I do, and kind of my goal for Proclaim Creative TV. We're going to cover an article that I wrote for the Creative Church that I think is very important. So let's get started. One of the things that I hope to work on for sure is my uhs. I don't really know how many uhs I said in my intro. I'm pretty sure I said a lot of uhs. So know that I'm gonna be watching my uhs, but sometimes they can get in the way. So keep that in mind. The reason that I wanted to start doing these videos is because when I first started as a creative, my very first task was to lead a media team, was to grow a media team. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I felt like a lot of the tutorial videos that I saw kind of showed me from a perspective of, if you already have this equipment, if you already have this set up, then this will work. But I never really felt like I saw videos that were step by step processes of what I needed to know. And so I hope I'm able to really get in depth with these things. I break up these videos into very small sessions, but hopefully they bring a lot of value to you. When I first started the media team, the very first thing that I started with was with lighting. In high school, I did 4 full years of theater. A lot of it was acting on stage. It wasn't really behind the scenes. I did some tech work, but the tech work was like, let me bring up the curtain. And I didn't really know much about lighting, and I definitely didn't know anything about church lighting or kind of like concert lighting. I didn't really know anything about that. I had some guidance as far as learning the logistics of running a light board daisy chain, which we're going to talk about, plugging in DMX cables, which we're also going to talk about how lights function, and that was kind of my overview of what I learned, but everything else I kind of just learned from experience, and not so much from watching YouTube videos or tutorials. A lot of what I learned just from actually going and doing it. And so I'm hoping that I'm able to make that process a little bit easier for anybody who happens to be in my same situation or is wanting to start a church creative team or a media team, when it comes to discussing kind of those aspects of the creative field. So I kind of mentioned that we were going to be going over briefly an article that I wrote for the Creative Church, and we're not going to read through it. I'll provide the link below my video. The article is called Motive for the Church Creative, and the very first one that I mentioned is Jesus. And I guess I'll read this statement that for me kind of sums up the entire section on that. Is at the forefront of our gifts and talents stand the source of all creativity. And not only that, but I feel like it can obviously very much affect the work that you put out, the work that you produce, because at the beginning you were very excited and you were fired up and you couldn't wait to get to church, you couldn't wait to serve, you couldn't wait to help in the experience. And once you get to that place where you're kind of tired out and you're dried out, your work is definitely not at 100%, maybe 5%, maybe 10% because you're there and you're barely hanging on, but at least you're fulfilling your commitment, you're putting in the work. But instead of giving your 100%, which your team is depending on you for, you're giving 5%. So I think it's important that we never ever lose that aspect of having that personal relationship with Jesus, putting that at the forefront of everything and before of everything that we do. The second important aspect of what I discuss in the article is people. And I think a very well-known phrase is love God of people, which is where I got these two first sections of the article, which was Jesus and people, because I believe what we do very much as a church creative is to serve people, is to bring people to an experience with Jesus. And so I feel like our heart has to be to serve the people and to help in any way, in any capacity we can, to help bring them to the same experience we had. One of the things that I wrote within this article was, as a worship leader, you lead people into the presence of God. As a production team member, graphics operator, or graphic designer, you create to lead people to an experience that brings them closer to Jesus. And I feel like that very much has to, even from the environments as you walk in, whether to sign your kids in or a lobby area, every single little detail is so important. One of the posts that I put out this week was that your position should never determine the caliber of your work, the caliber of your excellence, the caliber of what you put out. We should always put out our 100% because obviously, as we discussed in the first section, number one, we're there because we're grateful for what Jesus done in our lives. And number two, we're there to make a change in somebody's life. I absolutely love Elevation Church, and I'm in huge support of everything that they're doing. And one of their phrases is, see what God can do through you. And I know that that's not only for daily living, but even when you're serving, God can use your creativity. God can use your gifts to make a change in somebody's life, because you never know what that one person is going through. You never know if that's the last opportunity you have to use your gifts to help that person have an experience with Jesus. And I think if we do that, we can walk away at the end of every single day excited and even refreshed instead of drained out, when our desire is to reach out to people and to serve people and to help people have that experience that we had. And the last aspect that I think is so important, not just for church creatives, but even for entrepreneurs or anybody wanting to advance in their workplace, anybody who wants to start a business, or anybody who's living life in general, I think vision is so important because it gives you a clear picture and a clear path on what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. And so as a church, I'm sure every church has a mission statement or a vision statement that kind of sums up everything that the church is about. And so as a church creative, everything that we create, everything that we push should be to push that one vision, because it brings unity within the church. It brings unity within your team to be able to be working towards the same goal, because it becomes difficult. Maybe somebody's designing with one specific goal in mind and somebody else is designing or programming for another specific goal. And so when you bring the two together, it can become very messy. But when everybody's working on the same page for the same goal, when you bring those two pieces together, you have that much more impact through what you've created. And as I mentioned, this is important for entrepreneurs as well, or anybody in the workplace, or anybody in life in general, because having a clear vision or having your goal set in front of you allows you to see where you want to get and what you have to do to get there. And so even for yourself, even for personally, it's very important. It can be very helpful to kind of sit down and kind of write down what your goals are, what your vision is, where you're wanting to get. What is it that you're about? You know, what's important to you? And moving back once more to church creatives, when you are moving towards the same vision, it allows you to be very intentional with your creativity, and that ensures that you advance the vision of what you're pushing with excellence. That about wraps it up. I think these three key elements are so important for the church creative, and of course, just for anybody in general. I'm really excited to continue this journey of Proclaim Creative TV with you guys. This is very, very different for me. I don't like hearing my voice. I know when I start to edit, I'm going to be wanting to cut almost all of it. But I'm so excited to continue this. I'm hoping to put out a video, at least for now, once or twice a week. And then as I get more comfortable or it becomes a little bit easier, I want to be putting out more and more content each and every week. I want to be here to help you guys in any way possible. And so you can ask me a question in the comments below. If there's something that you have a question about, you can also find me on Instagram at Juan M. Ramos Jr. And you can send me a direct message there. Don't forget to subscribe. It's so important. Make sure that you can share this video as well, and make sure you hit the like button. Smash that like button. And so this concludes the very first episode of Proclaim Creative TV. I'll see you guys soon.